Hey, how's it going? It's Ollie here. So in this video, we're going to talk about how to sell on Amazon in the UK and Europe in 2020. We're going to cover every single aspect of the process, and this is going to be fully updated for all the changes that have happened with Amazon, with FBA, and with the e-commerce marketplace as it is in 2020. Because if you wanted to set up an Amazon business in 2019, there's a few things you would have done differently. There's a few things that have changed recently. And I just wanted to put all of these changes, all of these updates into one video, just so you don't make any mistakes, so you don't have any nasty surprises. And so, if you just take notes and write all of this stuff down, you'll know most of the things you need to do to get your business up and running. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do, I recommend doing this before any other step, is set up your Amazon account, okay, your selling account. Now you might have a buyer's account and that's fine, you can keep that account, but I'd recommend setting up a seller's account using a new email address. Okay, so create a brand new email address, it can be a Gmail or whatever, it doesn't matter, but keep it separate from your main email where you get bombarded with people's emails, with my emails, everyone else's emails. The reason for this is because Amazon sends you important notifications, right? They send you updates, they send you messages about your account. Sometimes if you use Fulfilled by Merchant, customer messages will come in there. You'll need to see all of these emails. So keeping it separate is a very good idea. Okay, so create your new email and then create your account. So you can go to sellercentral.amazon.co.uk and you can set up an account there. Now, when you go to create your account, a couple of things to remember. Number one, it has to be a professional account, okay? Don't bother with the free individual account. There's too many restrictions and it's not very useful. Sometimes upgrading from the individual account to the professional account can be a complete nightmare. It can be time consuming. They might suspend your account for a little bit. I just wouldn't recommend it, okay? So start with the professional. It's about £30 a month, okay? And you can use that payment that's coming out every month as motivation to get some stock in and make some sales as quickly as possible. And in this video, probably maybe halfway through, I'll be telling you exactly how to do that and how to get your first sale in under 30 days, even if you're importing from China, okay? So use that as motivation to make that actually happen. So when you go and create your account, one of the first things they'll ask you is information about your business, okay? So, are you a sole trader? Do you have a private company? Do you have a public company? Is it a limited? Are you a charity organization? Etc, etc. So this is going to be a roadblock if you don't have a company set up. Okay, so you actually have several options here. You can either sell as a sole trader, okay, in which case you'll need to register with self-assessment with the HMRC and get a unique tax reference code. Okay, it takes a few days, right? You can set up the Amazon account first. When they ask for that information, send in the information and then continue with the account creation process. That's one way of doing it. Or you can set up a limited company, okay, with Company's House, and then you can put that information into your Amazon account. Now, which option is best for you? I can't tell you that, right? It's all down to your individual income situation, your individual tax situation. The best person to tell you about this would be an accountant. And whenever we think of accountants, we think of fees, we think of paying them lots of money. But usually you can get like a free 30-minute consultation with an accountant. They'll talk to you about your situation, what you want to do, what you want help with, and you can just ask them, should I be a sole trader or a limited company? They'll probably tell you, and they'll want to help you because if you build the business, you'll probably use their services in the future. So that's how you find out. So once you've found out, you can set up your limited company, put that information into the Amazon account or the sole trader unique tax reference code, whichever one you have, and ideally the process will be pretty simple. Now, another thing you need as well as your company is a bank account for your business, and it's always best to have a separate bank account for your Amazon business that's completely separate from your personal account, right? Because your personal account is where you buy your groceries, where you pay your rent or your mortgage, and there's loads of transactions going through that. When you do have to do your account, right, to submit to HMRC, if you have everything in the same account, it is a nightmare, and HMRC don't like that. It's much better to have it separate. So best to just start out day one with a new bank account. There's a few ways you can do this. You can go to the high street banks, Barclays, HSBC, NatWest, Lloyds, and ask them for applications. Because of situation this year, obviously banking has become under a lot of strain. Lots of people want loans, lots of people are opening accounts, and it's stressful for banks. So the application processes have actually been taking a lot longer. I've been hearing some people saying they're not even accepting applications for new business bank accounts at the moment. So one way to get around this is to use an online bank such as Starling. So Starling are great, and it's all run on an app. So it's very, very simple, very intuitive, and they're actually better in some ways. The customer service is excellent. The app plugs directly into accounting software, so you can just export a live feed of all of your transactions, as they happen. So when it comes to doing your accounts, it's much easier. So I would recommend trying Starling to get your bank account set up. So once you have all those things, your company, your bank account, then you should be able to create your Amazon account. Now, for some people, this is a really easy process. It gets set up straight away and you're ready to go. For other people, sometimes it can be a little bit, you can have a few headaches along the way, mainly in the verification process. Okay, so recently Amazon have been a little bit more stringent, a little bit more, let's say, difficult with the verification process, right? They have been asking for more documents, and they've been asking for things like a letter of authorization and things like that. And this might trip you up and it might freak you out. It generally is quite simple, right? They might ask you for proof of your address, okay, where you live, which is quite simple. You can use a bill or a bank statement or something like that. That's usually quite easy. If they ask you for a letter of authorization, this is usually for your limited company. And obviously some limited companies have 100 employees. So if one of the, cleaning staff set up an Amazon account and say, yeah, it's for my company, Amazon don't know if it's legitimately for that company or whether this employee is just trying it on. So Amazon view your limited company, even though it's just you, they view that as the same as a limited company with 100 or 1,000 people involved. So what they do is they get the owner of the company to write a letter authorizing that the account is okay to be used with the company, and that they give authorization. So all you have to do is just write a letter with the letterhead saying your company name. I authorize this Amazon account to be used under my company. And there's tons of authorization letter templates online that you can use to do that. So it's usually quite simple. And ideally, after maybe a few days, maybe a week or two, your account will be verified, set up, and ready to go. That took a bit of explaining, right? And this is why I recommend you set up your account sooner rather than later, because if you do have any delays, you can get them out of the way and just focus on sending in stock. And you still have to wait for your stock to arrive anyway. So, it gives you a bit of time while the stock's arriving for your account to get set up. And then as soon as the stock arrives, your account will be ready. You can send the stock in, you can start making some sales. Okay, so let's say you've got your account. What happens next? Well, you want to find a product, right? You want to find something to sell on your account so you can get some sales in. Now, warning, this is where people get stuck. If there was one area consistently that I've seen over the past few years of teaching literally thousands of people how to do this stuff, landing on the right product to go with is the point where they give up. And it's tragic. It doesn't have to be that complicated to find the right product. Right? I had one guy who said to me once, Ollie, I've been looking for the right product to sell on my Amazon account for 3 years. Can you imagine that? 3 years, right? Within 3 years of my account, I've done hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of sales, right? In fact, 3 years, I think I hit 7 figures. Think if he had just launched something and got started where he could be now. So I would give yourself a deadline with this. I would aim to have your first product selected in less than a month. It shouldn't take longer than that. And by the end of a month, you should just launch whatever you have. Whatever it is, just launch that. And the worst thing that will happen is that you might lose a bit of money and you might learn from the experience. Now, this might freak you out. You might be thinking, am I going to lose thousands? In a couple seconds, I'm going to tell you a way you can launch any product on Amazon without losing too much money, so you can see if it's a good idea or not and test out the marketplace. But for now, let's talk about how to find the perfect product. So I created something called the Smash Hit Product Radar. And this is a simple framework that I use to research products to sell on my Amazon account. This is what I teach my clients when they're launching products on their Amazon accounts. And this is how so many people have used my training to absolutely crush it and just launch product after product after product. It's all about understanding the potential in the marketplace. So the Smash Hit Product Radar has 4 elements. Element number 1 is high demand. Number 2 is low competition. Number 3 is low hassle. Number 4 is a gap in the marketplace. Okay, so let's go through each one of these elements and I'll explain to you exactly what we're looking for in a product on Amazon. So, start with high demand. So what is high demand? Well, high demand is evidence in the marketplace that your product will sell. Demand means loads of people want something, right? Loads of people want something. So you might have products that you're passionate about, that you're interested in, that you would personally buy. But sometimes it can be dangerous to try and launch a product that you like because you might not be sure if other people are buying it, right? So what we want to do is we want to look for a niche where loads of customers are already buying that product. Because if loads of people are buying it right now, then if we were to offer something similar to that niche, the chances are our product would sell as well. If we try and launch a product that nobody's buying, then it's uncharted territory. We just don't know if people are buying it or not, right? So we need to find a product that has some demand already. Easiest way to figure this out is to see what's selling. Now, I personally use an app called Jungle Scout to see the revenues in a marketplace at any time. So you can use Jungle Scout. It's like $20 a month for the Chrome extension, which is all you need to see the revenue. Alternatively, you can look at the best seller rank on any product. And to give you an idea, the lower the best seller rank is, the more sales a product is making. All right. So for example, the number 1 bestseller in any category is the product that's doing the most sales in that category. Okay, so bestseller number 1 in, say, home and kitchen is probably doing 300 or 400 sales per day. I know, crazy, right? It'd be awesome to have a product like that. But those products are usually really competitive. So, you know, if your product has a bestseller rank of maybe 1,000, right? Say it's the 1,000th best product within that category, it's probably still going to be selling quite well. Maybe it will do 50 sales a day, 100 sales a day. Product with a bestseller rank of 5,000 might do 20 sales a day. Okay, so we can look at these bestseller ranks and just get a rough idea of what kind of sales volume the product is going to be doing. Now, if you want to get a rough estimation of what a bestseller rank really means in terms of sales, you can go to FBAtoolkit.com, and this website will actually tell you an estimation of the sales volume of a product based on its sales rank. So let's say we've got a product that has a bestseller rank of 5,000 in kitchen and dining. You can see on FBA Toolkit that on average it does about 30 sales per day. So we can use tools like this to see which products are already selling. And then if we find something that's selling quite well, it gives us a good idea that our product might sell quite well as well. Okay? Now, to give you an idea, I generally look for products where there's at least 3 sellers making at least £3,000 per month in revenue. Right? If I see more than 3 sellers making £3,000 a month in revenue, I know there's quite a good amount of demand in that particular niche. Okay? As I said, Jungle Scout is the easiest way to see this data at a glance. So if you find a niche that has decent demand, then you've got that part of the radar. Move on to element number 2, which is low competition. So why do we want low competition? Well, you might have a niche that has very, very high demand and loads of people are buying the product. However, if you want to sell something similar and have a chance of your product selling as well, you don't want it to be too cutthroat of a market, right? Because if there's too many sellers, then it's just going to be difficult to actually make your product stand out, to do something different, and to get the customers to click on your product rather than all the other products in the marketplace. So really, we want a niche where there's loads of demand, but not too much competition. What this looks like in practice is not too many established sellers. Now, an established seller is going to be someone who has tons of reviews on their listing, like over 500 reviews, or someone who has a brand that you recognize, right? So, for example, if you're going to sell a product alongside Nike, most customers are probably going to buy the Nike product over yours just because they trust Nike, they know they're a good brand, they've bought from them before, and it's just more likely they're going to get what they want. So we want to ideally not compete with brands and ideally not have too many sellers who have more than 500 reviews on their listing. Now, in 2020, my stats, I usually look for a niche where there's less than 5 sellers with 500 reviews on their listing. If you have, say, 4 sellers with more than 500 reviews, the competition in the niche is usually low enough. So the third element of the radar is low hassle. So what does low hassle mean? Well, you could sell 1,000 units of a product and it could make you a ton of money, but if it causes you so much stress that you want to jump off a building, then it's not really worth it, right? We want to sell products that don't cause us stress. We want to sell us products that aren't going to get us into legal problems. We want to sell products that aren't going to break in shipping or have any of the other issues you can have when you're importing and selling products to customers. So how do you identify a low hassle product? Well, we want it to be small and light, ideally, just for practical reasons, right? Easier to import, easier to ship. We want it to be durable, so it's not going to break in shipping. We want it to be quite simple in its nature. So for example, we don't want electronics because Chinese standard of electronics, when you just go to a manufacturer, is very low. The quality is going to be very bad and a lot of the stuff is going to break. Okay, so we want to avoid that niche altogether. There's many other niches we want to avoid too. We don't want to enter into beauty. Okay, it can be kind of complicated to sell beauty products. It's quite a competitive marketplace. And sometimes you could just have one ingredient wrong in whatever you're selling and Amazon could block the listing. And these ingredients that you're not allowed to sell change all the time. So you can make money selling beauty stuff, but it's not easy. And as a new seller, I'd say go for something more simple. Think about products that you could make yourself. That's a tip I always give to people. Right? If you could make the product yourself, then it's probably a good product, right? Think about it, right? So I probably couldn't make this camera that I'm talking to right now. I probably couldn't make it. There's so many parts in there. There's a lens, there's there's the body, there's circuitry inside there. It's very, very, very complicated. I wouldn't know where to start, even if I had all the parts laid out in front of me on a desk and a soldering iron and a screwdriver and whatever else I need. I wouldn't know how to make it. But a spatula, which is basically a bit of plastic that you melt and pour into a mold, I think with the right tools I could probably make that. So think of products that you could make, products that you understand how they're constructed. That will probably be the right type of product to import and sell on your account. So in fact, the best categories I like to sell within. Home and kitchen, always good, right? Kitchen utensils, kitchen products, home products, okay? Baby, got a lot of good products within baby, lots of textiles, lots of simple plastic products. Sports and outdoors can be good as long as the product isn't too big, because we want it to be quite small and light. Office products can be pretty good. Arts and crafts can be pretty good. Pets can be good, right? Lots of toys, lots of simple plastic products again. And there are a few other categories like luggage and travel, which can be good, you know. Maybe it will be good in a year, right? And there's a few other categories that can work, but they're some of the most popular ones I use at the moment. How do you define a gap in the market? What does that really mean? Well, whenever you're selling a product alongside other people, what we're trying to do is offer something better than them. We're trying to offer something different to the competition. So it gives customers a reason to click on our product over all the other products in the marketplace, right? We want to do something different, something better. So if there's no gaps in the market to fill, it's very hard to offer something different or something better, right? So we want to find evidence that there's ways to improve on the products that are available. So the best place to find out if there's ways to improve is by looking at the reviews, right? If you look at any of the best selling products in a niche, usually the ones with tons of reviews or the ones who've got a very low bestseller rank or very high revenue levels in the niche, you can see in those reviews where customers think the product could be better, where it could be improved. If you do enough research on enough of the products inside your niche, you'll find all of the gaps in the marketplace that need filling. And then what you can do is come along with your product, fill those gaps in the marketplace by doing something the other products don't, and therefore customers will buy your products over the other products, even though you're a new seller. In fact, this is how you get sales without having any reviews on Amazon before, without anyone knowing your brand or anything. You just do the thing that the product is meant to be doing better than all the competitors. So let's take an example, right? Let's say you want to sell a water bottle. Now on Amazon, there's going to be loads of people selling water bottles. And by the way, water bottles probably a terrible niche. Competition's really, really fierce, especially with those metal ones that are for sale. But once upon a time, it was obviously a good niche. Otherwise, these sellers who are selling now wouldn't have entered into the market. So let's say you look at the water bottle niche and all the products, customers are saying that they are leaky and they're not watertight, right? So they've screwed the lid on the water bottle, filled it up with liquid, put it in their bag, and then they checked it, an hour later, and the water had gone everywhere, got all their stuff wet. And you keep seeing these reviews on loads of products inside a niche. Well, obviously, the way to stand out in this niche and get the sales, get the customers to choose your product, is to offer something that doesn't leak. And then your number one selling point, right, the one thing you can emphasize on your marketing, on your listings, is the fact that your water bottle is completely watertight and isn't going to leak. Right? You could even build this into your brand name. You could have it really clear on the listing, on the photo, that your product doesn't leak. You could call it the super leak-proof water bottle. Make it blindingly obvious that your product fills a gap in the marketplace. This will get people to look at your product. This will get people to click on your listing. This will get people to buy the product. It will get people to leave positive reviews. And that's how you dominate a niche on Amazon. So you want to use these 4 elements and find a product that meets all of that criteria. Now at this point, this might sound like a lot. There's a lot you have to think about, and that's kind of true. But the best thing to do is just to keep adding products to a database and just looking at them and seeing if they meet all of this criteria. Now, if you want a handy manual with all the criteria laid out on it and a very simple way to actually search for these products, I'll put a link in the description, you can grab it. And it will walk you through how to find products using my technique, and it actually includes a video of how I find products consistently to sell on my Amazon account. So there's a link in the description if you want to check that out, but to be honest, you could just have a look by yourself first and give it a shot. Really, the key with looking for a product is to understand that there's no perfect niche. The product you find might be slightly too big. The product you find might have a little bit too much competition. Maybe the demand isn't quite as good as you think it will be. Maybe the price point isn't exactly right and there might not be quite enough profit in the niche. Whatever it is, here's the thing. Remember that when you're analyzing a niche, when you're doing product research, all of this stuff is speculative. We're making guesses. I mean, they're educated guesses, but they're still guesses. In fact, you can do all of this stuff perfectly well, and then something unexpected can happen. Maybe the marketplace gets flooded with competition. Maybe there's a complication at customs you didn't know was going to happen. Really, it's more important to just expect there to be some kind of hiccup and just be okay with that, rather than trying to get everything absolutely perfect before you launch. Because all that's going to do is lead to analysis paralysis, and you'll be in exactly the same place you are right now in 12 months' time. We want to get started by just launching something. So, let's say you've landed on a niche. Now, you could actually have the perfect niche and the analysis could check out to be incredible, and then you could completely screw up the whole launch and the whole process. How is that possible? Well, let's say you've got the perfect niche. Let's say, I don't know, garlic presses is the best niche on the whole of Amazon, and there's loads of opportunity, tons of demand, barely any competition, and it's just perfect. How could you possibly screw up this niche? Well, it's very simple. You could sell a product within this niche the customers just don't want to buy. Maybe it's ugly. Maybe it doesn't do the job very well. Maybe it doesn't fill the gap in the marketplace. You have to source a product customers want. Okay, this is the second part of the process. Okay, you've got your product research done. Now we're on to sourcing. So how do you source a product that customers want to buy, and how do you figure out which product is going to sell? Well, it's very simple. We need to look at the gaps in the marketplace you analysed when you did your product research. What were customers grumbling about? What were the main complaints? What did the customers wish they had? What are the things that are in the marketplace right now? How can they be improved? What are the things that aren't in the marketplace right now that you think could be in the marketplace? In fact, one way to guess what will sell really well in one marketplace is to go and have a look at another marketplace and see what's selling well there that isn't available in your marketplace. I do this all the time. Right, I'm looking for a product to sell in UK. Okay, so I'll have a look in Amazon USA and see what products are selling well there that aren't available in the UK. I'll just steal their ideas. Right, they've done all the work for me, they've done their research, they've launched the product, they've tested different variations, they've got one that's selling very well. I'll just launch that same thing or something similar in the UK, knowing that it's going to be a hot product. So that's one way you can tell if something is going to sell very well. But again, even if you do all your research, even if you have a great hunch about what product's going to sell, sometimes you can be wrong. Right? I think some products are the best things in the whole universe. I try and sell them and they flop. So how do we launch products, try and see what's going to sell well without losing an arm and a leg? Well, it's very simple. We start with a test batch. A test batch. Now, a lot of people are going to tell you, go to China, find a supplier, get a product, get it modified, get it shipped over with your logo on, send it into Amazon, and you're going to make tons of money. All right, that's the narrative when it comes to building an Amazon business. And, you know, that way can work. I'm not saying it's completely wrong, but I am saying it does involve a bit of risk, because the first time you do this stuff, you're brand new, right? You've never done this before. You've never launched a product before. You've never run a business before. You might not be very skilled at this process just yet. So it can be a little bit dangerous to risk £5,000 on a product launch when you might screw it up. So one way is to start with a test batch. Rather than ordering 1,000 units or 500 units, order 50. Something very small. Now, if you contact enough suppliers in China, you can get someone who will give you 50 units. Right? They'll do that for you. Because suppliers need to shift stock. Some suppliers have stock sitting in the warehouse that has been created and no one's bought it. So they will sell you it. Some suppliers are wholesalers and they will sell you as many units as you want, whether it's 10 or 5,000. China's a huge place. Someone there is going to give you a small quantity of the product you want. So how do you test a product? How do you do a test batch? Well, I actually help people with this all the time, and we have a very simple 4-week structure for their test batches. Week 1, you contact suppliers, right? And I get you to contact as many suppliers as you possibly can. Over 30. Why do we want to do that? Well, if you contact one supplier, it might be the most expensive supplier in the whole of China. They might be the supplier with the worst communication skills in the whole planet. They might just be rude or arrogant or not easy to work with. How do you know? They might be the best. You have no point of reference unless you compare them with other suppliers. So the more suppliers you contact, the more points of reference you get, and then you'll see, oh, well, that one's more expensive than this one. This one's really cheap. This one's got great quality. This one, the quality's terrible. This one's really easy to work with. You'll get a frame of reference for all the people who can sell you the product. After you've sent out loads and loads of messages and got quotes back, you'll have a much better idea of who to go with. That's week 1. Week 2, place the order. Get it shipped over with express shipping. Okay? Not freight. Okay, not air freight, not sea freight, which takes weeks and weeks and weeks, not train freight, express. You can use a carrier like DHL or UPS to get a product shipped over in like 5 days. Now, it's very expensive, okay, be straight with you. It's probably going to cost a few £100s for the shipping alone, and it's probably going to cost about the same for your stock. So with your test batch, you will not make any profit. You'll probably make a bit of a loss. But the point isn't to make profit. The point is to see if your product sells. If it sells, you can go buy more and then you can make your profit. So week 3, we'll send the stock into Amazon, okay, create a listing, right, get it to sell. Week 4, we run some marketing and turn on an advertising campaign and get the product to sell consistently, and then work out how to order more stock. So this is how you source products effectively, and once you've got a test batch into the warehouse and you've seen those sales, you can order more stock and you can start to grow the business. So let's talk about getting products to sell and using marketing to sell your stock on Amazon. So this is the 3rd skill. Okay, we've got product research, we covered, right, how to find products. Sourcing, how to get manufacturers and get products shipped over. Thirdly, marketing, which is how to get products to sell, how to get customers to see your products and buy them. So the first thing you're going to have to do is create your listing on Amazon. And this is, a lot of people think this is, a preliminary part of the process that happens before the marketing. But actually the listing on Amazon is the most important piece of the puzzle when it comes to your marketing. If your listing sucks, then you might as well throw all the money you spent on stock down the drain, right? Because the listing is all the customer has to decide whether to buy your product or not. So it's got to be incredible. The amount of sellers who message me saying, Ollie, my stock's not selling, and I look at their listing and it's just half done, is staggering. How do you expect a customer to buy your product unless the listing looks incredible and tells them what they need to know about the product? So make that listing look incredible. Now, you're going to need barcodes, okay, for the listing. You have to go to GS1, okay, which is a website which creates international barcodes for retail and e-commerce businesses. Okay, they give you a code, you put it on the listing. You have to make sure that all the information on GS1 is the same as all the information on Amazon, and then you should be able to create your listing without too many hiccups. Now, before 2020, fact, earlier this year and late last year and before last year, you used to be able to just use any old barcode. You could buy barcode from eBay, you could buy barcodes from those dodgy websites that sell you 10,000 for like $10, and that will be fine, right? Over the past few months, Amazon have clamped down on this, and you have to use official GS1 barcodes that are assigned to your brand. Okay, it costs about £120 for an annual membership. You get 1,000 barcodes, and you can use them for your business. They're international, and you can use all 1,000 of them for your products. When it comes to advertising and getting traffic to your listings, traffic's a fancy word for people online, right? So how to get people who are on the internet to look at your products. A lot of people go down this rabbit hole. If you type into Google how to drive traffic to my Amazon listing, you will get pages and pages and pages of stuff. Creating content on YouTube and blog posts, doing social media, Facebook ads, Instagram ads. It goes on and on and on and on. My advice to you is this: don't do any of that stuff. You can create a very healthy 6 or even 7-figure business just using the sponsored ads on the Amazon website. Okay, Amazon has their own advertising built in to their platform. You know, when you type in something on Amazon and you find a product, and in the search results there's a few links at the top and at the middle and sometimes at the bottom of the page that say sponsored on them. People are paying to get their product on those positions on the search results. So you can pay Amazon to get your product in those positions as well. And it works on a cost per click basis. So let's say you put a £10 budget for the day, you might get, say, 10 clicks, for example, on your listing, and then your budget's used up and your ad disappears until the next day. This is the best way to get sales, okay? Because you can get your product directly onto page 1 straight away, and you can get customers to buy it, and then as you get more sales, your product organically moves up the search results closer and closer to page 1, and at some point you'll be able to turn off the advertising and the product will just continue to sell. So don't do any of the complicated marketing stuff. Stick to the Amazon marketing stuff first, and once you've exhausted that, you can either launch more products or you can expand to all the complicated Facebook ads, chatbots, YouTube videos, influencer marketing, etc., etc., etc. Now you're going to need reviews on your products. You used to be able to give your products away for free to customers in exchange for a review. Recently, in the past year or two, Amazon have completely banned all of this activity. You cannot give products away to customers for free in exchange for a review. Now you can give products away for free, but you can't say, here's a product for free if you give me a review, right? That's not allowed. So how do you get reviews? Well, it's actually quite simple, right? Number one, you can use family and friends, okay? Ideally people who don't live at your house, okay? So Amazon can't obviously see that they've reviewed it. This will get you your first 5 or maybe 10 reviews, depending on how many people will do you a favor. But beyond that, really the way to get reviews is just to get sales. So if you get your product to sell, every time you get a sale, message the customer, and maybe 1 out of every 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 customers will leave you a review. Now it can be like pulling teeth. That's why when you see a product with, say, 2,000 reviews, they've probably made 20,000 sales with their product. They've probably been selling for a very long time. But if you just keep at it, over time your reviews will build up. And as your reviews build up, more customers will buy your product, and it will be like an upward snowball, right? It will just increase and increase and increase. So we've talked about the 3 skills: product research, sourcing, and marketing. Once you've mastered these, really it's just a case of how many products you can launch to build your business. But there's one more thing I really wanted to touch on to make sure that you had the biggest chance for success with your Amazon business. And that's this. I want you to really think long term when it comes to building your Amazon business, right? If you go at this with a very short-term mindset, the only thing you're going to feel is disappointment. Right? If you focus long-term, if you aim to really build this over a long period of time, you're going to make so much more money, you're going to be so much more successful, and the whole thing is just going to be way more fun. So for example, first thing to accept is that you're not going to make any profit in your first month. A lot of people message saying, how much profit can I earn in the first 30 days? And while it is possible to earn profit in the first 30 days, if you do something like arbitrage, where you can just get products very quickly, it's unlikely, right? It's not really going to happen, especially if you're ordering from China and getting large amounts of stock. This stuff takes time. I would give it minimum 2-3 months before you see any profit. And really, you want to be reinvesting your profits back into the business anyway. In fact, it's so much better if you don't take a wage out of the business for the first 12 months. Leave all the money in the business. Any money you make, any profit you make, put it back into the business, buy more products with it. This will enable you to grow a lot faster and hit much bigger goals in a much smaller amount of time. Now, to hit any decent type of goal, we really want to launch multiple products. So just to give you an idea, on Amazon, we usually aim for 20% profit margins, okay? Now, some people will do better than that. They'll do 30%, 40%. Some people do worse. Some people do 10%, 15%. In fact, some sellers make a loss, right? Because they do everything wrong. 20% though is a good conservative estimate for how much profit you will make in your business. So, with that in mind, we're going to need to launch several products to be able to hit your goal. For example, if you want to make $5,000 a month, then each product you launch could probably do maybe $5,000 a month in revenue, which means at a 20% profit margin, it'll probably do $1,000 a month in profit, which means you'll need to launch 5 products to make $5,000 a month. Each one will do £1,000 a month in profit, probably $25,000 a month in revenue, probably $300,000 per year in sales. That's the type of business we're looking to build. So what that means is we need to launch multiple products, and multiple products take time. Right? Each product can take up to 90 days to test and then get a bigger batch of stock into the warehouse. This isn't something you're going to be able to do month 1, month 2, or even month 3. You're not going to be able to launch 5 products that quickly. It just takes time. I recommend launching 1 product first, because it's overwhelming the first time you do this stuff. There's quite a lot of steps to launching a product, as you've seen in this video, and you want to give yourself time to really understand all of them. So launch 1 product first, then once you've done that, you can experiment with launching multiple products at once. You could launch 1 product, for example, and then go on and launch 3 products at once after that in maybe months 4 to 6 of your journey. Whichever way you look at it, it's going to take a while to launch multiple products and for you to hit your goals. So set them long term, maybe a 12-month goal, maybe a 24-month goal, if you're going to be doing this really part-time and really not putting in too much of your time into the business. And that might seem like a little bit depressing if this is going to take a year or 2 years, but how long does it feel like 12 months ago passed? It goes by in a flash. Like we blink, it's going to be next year already. It's going to be 2021. So it's a good idea to aim long term, and then you'll see it actually goes by extremely quickly. So my final point is, look, as you're building your Amazon business, focus on learning. Now, we all want to focus on making money because that's why we're doing this stuff, and that's amazing. Once you have a bigger income, you can upgrade your lifestyle, you can do more fun things, you can have more financial security, you can have more time freedom. All that stuff can happen, but you'll never get the money unless you have the skills. So rather than focusing so obsessively on making money, focus on what you learn, especially in the first year. Because then, if you make a mistake, if something goes wrong, if there's a delay, it will be a good thing because then you'll know how to prevent it from happening in the future. If the only measuring stick you have is how much money you make month to month, then you might be a little bit disappointed if you don't make too much too quickly. If you focus on learning and learn your skills along the way, this stuff can accelerate so fast you won't even know what to do with yourself. You can have so many products and you have so much income coming in that it can just be crazy, but you have to have the skills first. So I hope this video series has been insightful. Leave a like and subscribe if you want to get more videos like this. And let me know in the comments, what did you learn from this series? I hope it's been really helpful, and I'll catch you very, very soon.
Fresh eyes, I see. With fresh eyes, I see. With fresh eyes, I see. With fresh eyes, I see. It takes seconds for the fall.